Have you ever noticed those big, heavy-duty trucks roaring down the highway? They're an incredible sight, right? But have you ever wondered what it takes to stop one of these giants in its tracks? We're talking about tons and tons of metal and cargo, moving at high speeds. It's a massive challenge, and the answer lies in the brakes. But here's where it gets really interesting. If you look at trucks from Europe and trucks from the US, you'll find they often use different braking systems. Why is that? Today, we're diving deep into the world of truck brakes to uncover the fascinating story behind drum versus disc brakes, and why one continent prefers one style while the other leans towards a different one. It's a tale of engineering, regulations, and even geography. So, buckle up as we explore the great brake debate. First, let's get the basics down. What are drum and disc brakes, and how do they work? Imagine a bicycle. When you squeeze the brake lever, pads clamp down on the wheel's rim. A disc brake on a truck is a lot like that, just way more powerful. You have a large metal disc, called a rotor, that spins with the wheel. When the driver hits the brake pedal, hydraulic or air pressure pushes brake pads against this spinning rotor. The friction created between the pads and the rotor slows the wheel down and eventually stops the truck. Disc brakes are known for their excellent stopping power and their ability to cool down quickly, which is super important for preventing brake fade. That scary feeling when your brakes get too hot and stop working effectively. Now, let's talk about drum brakes. These have been around for a long time and are a bit more old school, but still very effective. Picture a hollow drum that's attached to the wheel and spins with it. Inside this drum are curved brake shoes. When the driver brakes, a mechanism pushes these shoes outward, pressing them against the inside surface of the spinning drum. This friction is what slows the truck down. Drum brakes are generally cheaper to manufacture and maintain, and their enclosed design protects the braking components from dirt, water, and road grime. This makes them really durable. However, they don't dissipate heat as well as disc brakes, which can be a disadvantage on long, steep descents. So, you have two different designs, each with its own set of pros and cons. So why the split between continents? Let's start with the United States. For decades, American trucks have overwhelmingly relied on drum brakes. What's the reason? A big part of it comes down to cost and maintenance. The US trucking industry is incredibly competitive, and keeping operating costs low is a top priority. Drum brakes are simply cheaper to produce and install than their disc brake counterparts. The replacement parts are also less expensive and widely available. For a large fleet with hundreds of trucks, these savings add up to a significant amount of money over the years. Another huge factor is the American landscape itself. The US has vast stretches of long, flat interstate highways. On these roads, a driver might go for hours with very little heavy braking. The primary job of the brakes is to bring the truck to a controlled stop, but they aren't constantly being tested on steep mountain paths. In this kind of environment, the heat dissipation advantage of disc brakes is less critical. The reliable, cost-effective performance of drum brakes is perfectly adequate for the majority of American trucking routes. Plus, American truck mechanics are incredibly familiar with drum brake systems. They've been working on them for generations, so finding a qualified technician to service them is easy, no matter where you are in the country. It's a well-understood, reliable technology. Now, let's hop across the Atlantic to Europe. The story there is quite different. For many years now, European truck manufacturers have been leaders in adopting disc brakes. If you buy a new heavy-duty truck in Europe today, it's almost certain to come with disc brakes on all axles. Why the change? A key driver has been safety regulations. European authorities, like the DSCs, have historically set very strict standards for braking performance. These regulations often include tests that simulate emergency stops from high speeds and repeated braking on downhill grades. Disc brakes, with their superior resistance to brake fade and more consistent performance under heavy use, simply perform better in these demanding tests. They provide shorter stopping distances, which can be the difference between a close call and a serious accident. The European geography also plays a massive role. Unlike the wide-open plains of the American Midwest, Europe is characterized by winding roads, tight city streets, and, of course, the Alps. Truck drivers in Europe frequently have to navigate steep mountain passes, where they are on the brakes for long periods. This is exactly the scenario where drum brakes can overheat and lose effectiveness. Disc brakes, with their open design that allows air to flow over the rotor and cool it down, are much better suited for these challenging conditions. The enhanced safety and performance they offer in these environments are considered well worth the extra cost. So, for European operators, the decision is less about initial cost and more about performance and safety under their specific driving conditions. But things are starting to change. While drum brakes are still very common in the US, we are seeing a clear and growing trend towards disc brakes. What's causing this shift? Well, several factors are at play. First, safety is becoming an even bigger priority in the US trucking industry. Fleets are realizing that the superior stopping power of disc brakes can help reduce accidents and improve driver confidence. In an emergency situation, being able to stop a few feet shorter can make all the difference. As technology has improved, the performance gap between the two systems has become more widely recognized. Another reason is maintenance. This might sound counterintuitive since we said drum brakes are cheaper to maintain. While individual parts might be cheaper, disc brakes can actually lead to lower lifetime costs. How? They are much faster and easier to service. Changing the pads on a disc brake system is a relatively quick job. A mechanic can do it in a fraction of the time it takes to service a more complex drum brake assembly. For a large fleet, this reduction in labor time and vehicle downtime means the trucks are back on the road earning money faster. Over the life of a truck, these savings in labor can offset the higher initial cost of the disc brake system. Finally, driver preference is a powerful force. Ask any truck driver who has driven trucks with both systems, and the vast majority will tell you they prefer disc brakes. They report a better brake feel, more confidence in the truck's stopping ability, and less worry about brake fade on long hills. As the industry faces a shortage of drivers, offering trucks with better, more desirable features like disc brakes can be a way for companies to attract and retain the best talent. Drivers feel safer and more in control, and that's a huge selling point. So, what does the future hold? It seems pretty clear that disc brakes are the way forward. Even in the US, while the transition won't happen overnight, there are still millions of trucks with drum brakes on the road. Nearly every new truck model being introduced is offering all-wheel disc brakes as either a standard feature or a popular option. The benefits in terms of safety, reduced maintenance time, and driver satisfaction are just too significant to ignore. The cost difference is also narrowing as the technology becomes more widespread. In the end, the choice between drum and disc brakes has always been a balance of cost, performance, and operating conditions. For decades, the long, flat highways and cost-conscious mindset of the US market made drum brakes the logical choice. Meanwhile, the stricter regulations and challenging terrain of Europe pushed manufacturers towards the superior performance of disc brakes. But now, as the American trucking industry places a greater emphasis on safety, efficiency, and driver comfort, the tide is turning. The great brake debate is slowly coming to a close, with a clear winner emerging. It's a perfect example of how technology evolves and adapts to meet changing needs and priorities. The next time you see a big rig on the highway, take a moment to appreciate the incredible engineering that goes into safely stopping that massive machine. Thanks for watching. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of trucks, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more content just like this. Drive safe out there.